3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector grid. Exot.
You know, leaving the cameraman behind is pretty savage.
Pitch over. Roger, you have good thrust.
I'm getting on here to confess that I'm a crazy flat earth believer. God said he put the earth on a solid foundation and it does not move, and I believe him. NASA means to deceive. We never went to space. There's a firmament, glass dome.
There's a few things about this video that I'd like to point out. One being that it's day and night at the same exact time. Two, it literally looks like the moon is giving off its own light source, with the light walking across the body of water all the way to the viewer. Now, how is it day and night at the same time, with the moon seemingly giving off its own light, if we live on a globe and we're spinning around the sun, and that's what's causing the sun to rise and set, and the moon is just reflecting the sun's light, even though the light clearly wasn't even traveling to the moon in that picture. Sea level, not sea curve. Now, due to the law of reflection, this is impossible on a globe model, because the light being able to walk all the way across the body of water means that the body of water must be level all the way through. Because due to the law of reflection, if light is on a sphere being reflected off of a sphere, it actually contains in one spot. It could not walk across the body of water all the way to the viewer. And go to a nice calm body of water and look at the perfect mirror that you would see sky to water.
Alright, quick video debunking space and proving that we are an enclosed system created by God. According to gas behavior, the gas molecules move randomly in all directions. As you can see here at nord.gov, they admit that the atoms and molecules that make up the various layers of the atmos are constantly moving in random directions. That's just how gas behavior works, according to the second law of thermodynamics and entropy. Again, states of matter. According to Purdue University, the gas molecules are well separated with no regular arrangement, and the gases assume the shape and volume of their container. The definition of gas pressure is the amount of force exerted by the particles on the walls of a container. That's why in the gas laws they have a V for volume. Without the V for volume, you cannot have gas. That's like saying, can you bring me a specific amount of gas, like helium or oxygen, without a container, with using a belief in gravity? The answer is no, you can't. You need a physical container. The collisions of the molecules, they interact with each other and the boundary of a container. So that's what gas pressure is. That's literally what it's defined as. And they move randomly in all directions. Now, this is the problem. If gas molecules by nature, what we observe them doing all the time is moving in random directions. They move up as much as they move down. They move horizontally as much as they move vertically, then there's no bias for gases moving in a specific direction. That's why pressure is a scalar, meaning there's no directionality or vector for gases. So now imagine that we're inside of a car and I've sprayed these gas molecules inside of the car, and for argument's sake this box is the container of the car. Now what happens when we open the window of the car? The gas molecules escape. So again, according to the kinetic theory of gas, it is in random motion, constant random motion. Again, they draw a box around the gas molecules. Now, this is where the problem is. Now, if that was true, according to the second law of thermodynamics, all of the air on Earth that we're currently breathing would escape into the infinite space volume. Now, this professor's going to show a demonstration. Watch.
Let us look at some examples of spontaneous changes and see how they are accounted for in terms of the second law of thermodynamics. We'll take the simplest first, is the expansion of a gas into a vacuum. I have in one of these bulbs some bromine, and in the other I have a vacuum.
Now mind you, container for gas, container for a vacuum, because even a vacuum requires a container.
And if I open the tap between these two, you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other.
Now, let's imagine that instead of this vacuum volume being really small, it is now infinite in size. And it's still expanding, just like they claim. It's an infinite volume. Now, if he was to repeat what he just did, when he would open the valve, if you imagine there's a globe Earth in here with its air around it, and sitting next to an infinite space vacuum, what happens now when he opens the valve to that infinite vacuum? All of these gas particles would escape, the vacuum would come in, and equalize, and the equalization would be a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum at sea level. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, if it was true what they were claiming on Earth, then according to this photo, which is supposed to be a real photo, if that's the Earth sitting next to an infinite sized vacuum, a tiny little bit of gas, itty bitty gas that's on this surface would violently escape into this new volume, which is already there according to what they claim, and would have no air to breathe. So, space debunked. And everything I'm saying cannot be refuted, it can only be denied.
Have you really thought about what it would take to fake a moon landing?
I mean, evidently all it'd take would be a cheap camera to take this picture, some tinfoil, a radio flyer wagon like you had when you was a kid, and an umbrella on top of it, a flag, and some cheap sheet metal, and some dirt. That's about it. Look at this for just a second, right? Now tell me how that makes sense. It don't. What about this? Come on. And then I can't remember the figure. It was 37 or 39, 30-something million dollars to build this heap of junk, according to NASA. And then this is new technology. We'd have believed they got there in that. Come on.
I've had a lot of interesting conversation regarding the horizon and the sun. And I just want to go over this because people are trying to discredit this and say, oh, that's just a light trick. Watch this next video. Check the cloud cover. Okay, there's a lot of, from the other video I was posting, people are saying, oh, you're looking through the clouds and all this other stuff. What? Explain this. I don't care. I don't care the distance of the sun. I think we live in like a Truman Show type simulated dream. Watch this next clip. Okay, so this is a pilot, and he's about to show his instrument panel here in a second. Okay. Explain this. Explain it. Watch this next photo. Boom. Have a nice day.
10 proofs the Earth is flat. One of them is plane flights. We've got hundreds of flights every day that make fuel stops that make no sense on a globe. In other words, they keep coming up from like Australia, they come all the way up to like Los Angeles, and then they go all the way down to Argentina when they could just go straight across the ocean from Australia to Argentina. That's because it makes perfect sense. It's a straight line on the flat Earth map. And if you look at the jet streams, if you compare flat Earth to a globe, it doesn't make sense on a globe. It makes perfect sense on a closed system with the North Pole in the middle on the flat Earth, all the continents spreading out, and Antarctica is really just an ice shore that is everywhere south.
And what is beyond that shore, by the way?
Well, Admiral Byrd said there was extra land that was actually hospitable. That's Admiral Byrd who did the expedition down there, and he said it on. You can watch it on YouTube. It was called Operation Fishbowl, and it was under the project name Dominic, which means of the Lord. So you have Fishbowl of the Lord. Just a nice little tidbit for you there.
Do you believe in gravity?
Oh, gravity is easily explained with buoyancy and density. So an object falls because it's more dense, or it rises and floats because of buoyancy.
Close.
Let me ask the astronaut.
Former astronaut.
Once an astronaut, always an astronaut. Are you aware of the angular resolution of our eyes and perspective? You are,
generally
of course.
speaking,
Okay,
yes.
so angular resolution is basically, it's just a law of, as an object gets further away, let's say a car, and it's a mile away, 10 miles, it's gonna disappear. There's a crater on the moon that's supposedly 30 miles wide. The angular resolution says that it disappears, that 30-mile, we can see it with our naked eye. We can look up and see it, right?
I don't know. I don't know what crater you're talking about.
The moon is 38,000 miles away, we're told. 238,000 miles
That's
away,
better.
right? So it's really far.
Okay.
And
Yes,
yet
it is
we
really
can
far.
see this crater with our eye. Did you know that crater, based on the law of angular resolution, hold on, it disappears at 400,000 feet? That's 75 miles. That crater is gone. You cannot see it 75
Without actually knowing
miles
what crater you're even talking about, this is who knows?
Well, it's 30
Is it in the
miles
Sea
wide.
of Tranquility?
It's 30 miles wide. I'm giving you the numbers, and you want to jump past it because that's real science. Your eye can only see an object so far away.
Well, that's
so at
true.
30
Your
miles away,
iPhone actually has higher resolution than your eye is capable of seeing. So yes,
at
I
30
agree that
miles
there are things
away,
you
the
can't
crater
detect.
disappears. At 75 miles away, which is 400,000 feet, the crater will
I'm not
disappear.
smart enough
Now,
to.
you
So
mentioned
hold on.
again
Tell me how that relates to flat Earth.
Well, it proves that the moon is close. He has some pictures. I'd like to clear this up.
Okay.
No flat earther believes that we live on a pancake that's flying through space. This is misinformation put out, to make it seem ridiculous. The Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition to make it seem ridiculous.
Right.
Ice wall,
So you believe the ice wall model, correct?
it's not a wall, it's a shoreline. There's an edge, a shoreline, a cliff face, which we've all seen photos of, right?
That retains the
So
water.
by the way, are you also asserting?
Yes.
Are you
Okay,
also asserting
Bob.
that you don't think I've been to the North Pole and the South Pole?
I think you've been to a location that they are calling the South Pole. So the curvature calculator that we are told, based on the curvature of our Earth, so for the observer, it's 8 inches per mile squared. So it's a formula. Okay, so if a boat is 10 miles away, that's 10 times 10. 10 times 10 times 8 is equal to, that's 800 divided by 12. That's 66 feet of drop that we should see. And that's why we're told, well, boats go over the curve around 8 miles because, they're gonna be gone, right? So how is it that boats that are 50, 60 miles out, 30 miles out, we're pulling them back with the P900?
What if the ground beneath you isn't spinning at all? Everything feels stable and still for a reason. Above us, something is in motion, but it's not the Earth. Dive into flat Earth research, and you might start seeing everything through a different lens. This is for entertainment purposes only.
They tell us right to our face that there are no satellites in space. All so-called satellite communication is based on undersea cables, towers, and computer network.
GH, why are you telling me this? Did your neighbor say something to you?
No, he wasn't home. But he has a satellite phone I thought could help us. I tried to use it, but it didn't work even though it had enough juice. Now the whole point of a satellite phone is that you always have a signal if you have a clear view of the sky, which I did. The only reason why it wouldn't work is if our satellites got knocked out of commission.
Our satellites. You think something happened to our satellites? The ones in space?
The satellites are networked to computers down here.
The satellites are networked to computers down here. The satellites are networked to computers down here.
T-minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The sky is deep black, and we cannot see stars.
There's more than stars. You can see planets. You can see moons.
You see the gas.
The sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
We were never able to see stars. It's the darkest black you can imagine.
Never a straight answer. So many things have changed, but I never thought I'd live in an age to see the day. Outer space is seen as fate. We have all been played, fallen prey to a Freemasonic cage. Surely all is gonna break away the more we all awake.
Houston, we now have a problem. They found
outer space isn't at all what we told us. NASA ought to sorted all the stories for the astronauts before they all reported what they saw in Aztec orbit. NASA saw the planet, Aldrin saw no more than black. You all are talking bullshit, quarters where you ought to all be walking as your master plan is thwarted. You're all caught red-handed, I imagine your imaginary bands of Van Allen. Of course they all know, has it? The moon landing was staged, a Stanley Kubrick play. The USA had to make a movie to win the race to space. NASA, what's the truthful answer you want doing lunar trips? Why? It isn't lucrative, the tax you take is ludicrous. You start the excuse, you lose the tapes and can't locate the data. Saying nowadays it's far too hard to make it all after you threw away the blueprints for the lunar craft. Now half a century has passed, you had a blast. You're talking at your ass. The elephants in the room, they never went to the moon. Prove everything told to you about space or big fan of true. Nothing is left the earth and return as NASA from years of selling the heliocentric universe soon will be gone. And you never will, it's all a lie. It's all a lie.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Idialenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.